Good morning. My name is Susan Reardon. I call the staff hearing officer meeting of March 10th to order. The first order of business is under preliminary matters, and we have not received any requests for continuances, withdrawals, postponements, or additions of ex-agenda items. So we will hear the two items on the agenda in the order that they are shown. Under announcements and appeals, I do want to announce that we have received an appeal for the project located at 2 South Quarantina Street. At the last meeting on February 21st, a coastal development permit was approved for a Marboard facility, and that was appealed by a neighbor, and the PC date hasn't been scheduled yet. And once it is scheduled, I'll announce it at this hearing. And I have no other announcements and appeals. Is there anyone listening to the staff hearing officer meeting that would like to address the staff hearing officer on items not on today's agenda? If so, you can use the raise your hand icon as shown on the screen. It's the lower circle with the green arrow, and you just need to click it once, and I will watch, and if I see your hand is raised, I will call on you, and you will have 2 minutes to speak. And I don't see anyone who's raised their hands. So we'll go to the first item on the agenda, which is the application of Tom Oshner for a project at 1258 San Miguel Avenue. And I do notice that the property owner is in attendance, so I will promote you in case you want to talk, but leave yourself muted. Okay, so Mr. Dulles, you're the project or the case planner. Would you like to start your presentation?
Sure. Good morning, Ms. Reardon. I'm Robert Dostalek, Associate Planner at the Community Development Department. And the project before you today is for a front setback modification at 1258 San Miguel Avenue to allow for a new floor area in the front setback. And here we've got the site plan and just a general vicinity. The project site is located in the East Mesa neighborhood of the city at the intersection of San Miguel Avenue and San Nicolas Avenue. And as you can see, there's a small vicinity map on the front of the sheet. And just a little background, if we could focus on the site plan for a moment. The site is currently developed with a 753 square foot single unit residence and an attached 254 square foot garage, single car garage, and it's attached. The attached garage and covered entryway are non-conforming as they encroach approximately 5 feet into the 20-foot front setback. And if we could zoom in a little bit on the footprints of the buildings, perhaps. And the project involves demolition of the existing one-car garage and uncovered entryway for the construction of a new 318 square foot addition to the residence. And the proposal also includes a new detached 237 square foot one-car garage, relocation of the existing driveway, and a new retaining wall with staircase, and the removal of one street tree. The new addition and garage, as you can see, are illustrated with hatching. And the new addition would be situated in the same footprint as the existing garage and entryway. The retaining wall and stairwell are included to access the steep rear portion of the lot and to keep the option open of a potential future ADU above the garage. And for just basic zoning and general plan, the project site is zoned E3 SD3 under Title 28 of the Municipal Code. The coastal land use plan designation is residential with a maximum of 5 dwelling units per acre. The properties surrounding the project site are all zoned for and developed with residential improvements. And for general zoning consistency, the project would adhere to applicable building height, open yard, and parking standards. And to touch on the street tree, a Mexican fan palm street tree is located in the San Miguel Avenue Parkway and is proposed to be removed to accommodate the proposed new driveway relocation. And the Street Tree Advisory Committee approved the removal last June, and staff has added a condition to require a replacement tree in a suitable location within the vicinity of the project site. And to get into the modification a little more, Mr. Russell, perhaps we could go to the floor plan, which is sheet A 1.1. And so the existing attached garage and covered entryway encroach into the 20-foot front setback by 5 feet. And the proposal involves the demolition of these two elements to construct a new 318 square foot addition to the residence. And the front setback modification was requested to allow the new habitable floor area to be reconstructed in the same footprint as the garage and entryway, and thereby maintaining the same 15-foot setback from the front lot line. And the existing garage structure would be fully demolished to accommodate an architectural roof line that is more uniform with the existing residence. And to replace the removed covered parking space, a new conforming 237 square foot single car garage is proposed in the western rear portion of the property. And the existing driveway and curb cut would be vacated to create a new curb cut and driveway leading to the new replacement garage. And if we could toggle back to the site plan for a moment, please. And staff is supportive of the front setback modification, as the proposed addition conversion to habitable space would occur roughly within the same footprint as the existing garage and entryway. And actually, compared to the existing, the footprint of the new addition on the western side would be reduced by about 4.5 feet to accommodate the new driveway approach, or the new driveway to the replacement garage. And the new addition would result in similar perceived bulk and massing within the front setback. And additionally, the proposed roof alterations would present a more uniform design of the residential structure. And there should be an aerial view of San Miguel Avenue in the, yes, thank you. And this is a good illustration. As shown here, the reconstruction within the setback would result in a continuation of the established setback theme of other existing residences on the north side of San Miguel Avenue. And this is largely due to the significant upward slope in the rear portion of these lots. And moreover, at 753 square feet, the existing residence is modest in size, and the addition would enhance the livability of the residence. And lastly, the project would relocate the prominent garage and driveway features currently located in the front of the lot to a less conspicuous location in the rear portion of the property. And for design review, the average slope of the lot per city data is 32%. However, the site is not located in the Hillside Design District, so the proposed new addition and garage do not trigger design review. However, the retaining wall that's proposed behind the garage exceeds 6 feet and is subject to design review by the Single Family Design Board. But due to its limited visibility from San Miguel Avenue, the staff is comfortable handling the design review for the retaining wall and stairwell safety guardrail at the top, handling that administratively at the building permit stage. And for environmental review, the scope of the entire project can be found categorically exempt from further environmental review under sections 15303 and 15305 of the California Environmental Quality Act. And to sum up, with the ability to make the findings for the front setback modification, staff recommends the staff hearing officer approve the project with the added condition. And that concludes staff's presentation. I'm available for questions. Thanks.
Great, thank you. I have no questions right now. Mr. Oshner, if you'd like to turn on your webcam and your microphone and provide any additional comments you may have.
I thought that was a great presentation by staff. Robert, thank you. I'm available for questions.
Okay, great, thank you. I do have a question regarding the existing driveway. The plans do note that it says the driveway will be removed. So I assume that means the curb cut, and does it also mean the existing asphalt?
Yes, so we don't have an application into transportation for the road encroachment permit yet. We do have a landscape architect that is coming on, but that curb cut will be removed, and it'll be the frontage will be restored in conformance to the transportation department's recommendations.
Okay, and then what about the driveway on the private property? paving
Yes,
through
that will be removed, and a landscape architect looking at that now. So
Okay.
we do intend to turn that into an entryway, so it'll be landscaped in accordance with what the front of the house might want.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's all my comments right now. If you want to turn off your webcam for right now, I'll open the public hearing. Great, thank you. So there's anyone in the audience right now who would like to address the staff hearing officer on this project, which is located at 1258 San Miguel Avenue? You can do that by clicking on the raise your hand icon, which is the lower circle there, the red arrows pointing to it. And you only need to click it once, and when the arrow turns to red, that means that it's indicated as a raised hand. And when I see your hand raised, I will click on it, and you will have 2 minutes to speak. So I see Pap Di Simon has her hand raised. I will unmute you, and you can unmute yourself, and then you have 2 minutes to provide your comment.
Yes, I'm Happy Simone. I'm at 1262 San Miguel, due west of the property. And I would like to rather emphatically ask that you approve it, which is against usually my better judgment in this neighborhood because of the monster houses that people somehow have been able to grow. The neighbors are first-rate neighbors. We've had the best time having them as our neighbors, and I would like to comment that the additions to the house are very minimal compared to what we're used to seeing in the Mesa. And these are the kind of people you want to live next door. So if I can be any more emphatic about approving it, I would be. Thanks for letting me comment.
Great, thank you. If there's anyone else who would like to address the staff hearing officer, you may do so by raising your hand. All right, I see no one. Just want to check with to see if we received any further emails since the hearing started.
Thank you, Mr. Reardon. We have not received any written correspondence for this item. Thank you.
Okay, great. So I'll close the public hearing. If the applicant and staff would like to turn their webcams back on, I can speak to you directly. Great, thank you. I went out to the site and I walked around the neighborhood, and I agree with staff's analysis that this addition is consistent with the other properties in the neighborhood. Also, it outlines, or it is in the exact same footprint, pretty much the exact same footprint as the existing improvements, and therefore have very minimal effect on the street frontage. And it's nice to hear that the property owner has reached out to the neighbors and let them know of what's being planned. And I agree with the neighbor's comment that it is a modest addition and fits in nicely with the neighborhood. So the modification that's requested is supportable. And I question you, Mr. Oshner, about the removal of the curb cut and driveway, because I think that is an important element of the project to make it look like a front yard in regards to removal of the asphalt. So I would put 2 conditions on the property in addition to the one that staff proposed. And it just says that the existing curb cut should be removed and replaced with the city standard curb, gutter, sidewalk, parkway that you're working with transportation staff on doing. And then the other condition would be that the paving for the driveway be removed within 15 feet of the front property line. So that's pretty much just in front of the front facade of the addition. And the reason why I didn't say all of it, because you may want to put a patio in that area, that's fine, but just at least in front of the house so that it looks like a front yard, given that you're requesting the front yard setback or the front setback modification. So, and you, Mr. Oshner, have reviewed the condition that staff proposed in the staff report, and you understand it and agree with it? Yes, I see your head shaking.
Yes, we do.
Okay, great. So with those added two conditions and the originally proposed condition by staff, I can make the finding as outlined in the staff report and approve your project. My action is appealable to the Planning Commission within 10 calendar days, and they also have overview authority of all my actions. And if they felt this warranted additional review before them for some reason, they could appeal it up, or they can call it up during that same 10-day appeal period. And if either of those would happen, Mr. Pollusk would contact you. Okay,
Thank you.
great, thanks. So we'll move to the next item, which is 1202 Shoreline Drive. And Mr. Oshner, for right now, I know you're the applicant, but you can go ahead and turn off your webcam and microphone. And Ms. Plummer, if you'd like to turn on your, thank you. And so it's a proposal, yeah, I said 1202 Shoreline Drive. So anytime you're ready, Ms. Plummer.
Thank you, Ms. Reardon. We're here today to discuss an open yard modification associated with 1202 Shoreline Drive. Mr. Russell, can you actually go to an aerial view? I think I had an aerial view provided. Thank you. Just for some context, so we're here today to discuss an open yard modification associated with 1202 Shoreline Drive. The site is currently, the 6,000 square foot site is currently developed with a 2,290 square foot two-story residence. And the purpose associated with the open yard modification is resulting in a new accessory dwelling unit that is being proposed atop the existing attached garage. Just for some context of the site, it is adjacent to two public right-of-ways on Shoreline and La Marina, as well as two residential properties. And then Mr. Russell, if you can go to the plans. Thank you. So in general, accessory dwelling units are under state legislation and are typically reviewed ministerially. However, in the case of this project, we are looking at it as a discretionary hearing and a public hearing due to the open yard modification request associated with the stairs. The project does include new stairs that will encroach into the existing open yard area. The property currently contains 1,260 square feet of open yard area, which is consistent with the zoning ordinance in Title 28. However, the stairs that provide access to the accessory dwelling unit will encroach an additional 98 square feet, which will reduce the existing open yard area to 1,162 square feet. The staff is generally supportive of the open yard modification request to allow the reduction of the open yard because the encroachment is relatively negligible and it serves the purpose of accessing the accessory dwelling unit. In addition, the proposal conforms to the city's accessory dwelling unit ordinance that allows for the open yard to be 800 square feet with 15 by 15 dimensions on lot 6,000 to 7,999 square feet. Although this ordinance is currently only in effect in the inland areas of the city, it was approved by City Council citywide and is anticipated to ultimately go in effect in the coastal zone after certification of the Coastal Commission of this local coastal plan amendment. And that is anticipated to go in effect in summer of 2021. In addition, this project is located in the appealable jurisdiction of the coastal zone. However, it is not located in any environmentally sensitive habitat areas. It's not located within 50 feet of a coastal bluff, and it's not located between the sea and the first public road. Therefore, it does not meet any of the developments which would require a coastal development permit and is exempt from further coastal review. Staff, as I mentioned earlier, is recommending approval of the project subject to the findings that are contained within the staff report. And if you have any additional questions, I'm here to answer them.
Okay, great. Thank you. I have no questions at this time. So, Mr. Oshner, you're the applicant for this project. If you'd like to turn on your web camera and microphone and provide additional comments.
Yes, thank you very much. Pilar, that was a nice presentation. There's only a few things I'd like to include here relative to a letter from the neighbor. And I'm not sure if they're here or not, but first of all, I was the architect on this project originally 10 years ago, and we granted at no cost a view easement across the La Marina frontage there. And so this is a private easement that was given to them. And just for the record, this addition projects no further. The architectural projections, in fact, project less into that view easement than what was established to be consistent with the language of that view easement. So if there's any more concern on that, that can be handled outside of the city's interest. In terms of loss of privacy, I looked at that home next door, and this is the same neighbor at 1201, and at 99% FAR on the sides of that and the number of windows that face south, it's difficult to think that our two small windows in this ADU, although I do know that that's not a part of this review. I'm just responding for record. It's not a part of the, I don't believe privacy is an issue at this meeting. And then as far as the open yard, the stairs are just taking the place of the covered patio. The project does conform to current open yard currently, and these stairs would take over the covered patio space. Now, it's ironic, last year, the same neighbor received 3 mods, one for each front yard and an open yard modification that were granted to them. So it's remarkable. But anyway, those are my comments. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. I will open the public hearing before I call on anyone, I would just like to reiterate or clarify that the public hearing is on today is only on the open yard request. By state law, we are preempted on holding a public hearing for the ADU. And as staff said, it is actually be able to be found categorically exempt from the coastal development permit requirements. So what the hearing on today is on the requested open yard modification. So with that, if you would like to address the staff hearing officer on 1202 Shoreline Drive, you may do so by clicking on the raise your hand icon, which is the lower button on the on your control panel. It's indicated by the green arrow, and you only need to click it once and it will turn red, and that will indicate that your hand is raised. And when I call on you, you have 2 minutes to address the staff hearing officer. And with that, I see Joseph Hopkins, followed by, actually, I think Russell is the property owner. So I'm going to do Russell Schoppel first. He might want to provide some comments in regards to part of the applicant team. So, Mr. Schoppel, I unmuted you. You may provide your comments.
Okay. Thank you, Committee Chair Reardon. Yes, my name is Russell Chappell. I'm the owner of the property. As Mr. Oxner had mentioned, the proposed area for the location of the stairs is already covered by approximately 6 to 8 feet of housing structure. So we're not encroaching onto anything that is anything other than house or covered area as it is. I wanted to, excuse me, mention the motivation for this ADU. I started researching this when my mother was basically in convalescent care locally, that I could house her in the house. Since that time, she's actually passed away. But the reason why the motivation remains the same, and Mr. Oxner helped me to design the home back in 2014 when we finalized, to accommodate a small personal elevator, because I have multiple sclerosis, which is a neuromuscular degenerative disease. My ability to walk stairs and so forth is increasingly compromised. Lastly, I would mention that the ADU specifically is primarily for health reasons, primarily for a person to help me here in the house that wouldn't be directly related to one of the other 2 bedrooms that are in the home. So my view of the ADU is not just that it's a nice convenience, but it has medical, personal reasons. That's the motivation. I thank you for your time, and I'd be happy to ask if there's any questions. Mr. Hopkins is a doctor. He might have medical questions further.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, and then Joseph Hopkins, I will unmute you. And you have 2 minutes to address the staff hearing officer. And I would like to note for the record, I did receive your email and have read it. So just to note for the record. So anytime you're ready, Mr. Hopkins.
Thank you, Ms. Reedon. I'm here with my wife, Abby Hopkins. I'm Joe Hopkins. We are the owners at 1202 Del Oro, 1201 of Del Oro, which sits immediately up the grade from this project. Our principal concern is that there is a view easement that is in existence since 2012 that precludes any building or vegetation or any other obstruction of view within that defined area. We've had this plan reviewed by the attorney and the surveyor who prepared that view easement, and they believe that there is encroachment into the view easement, contrary to what Mr. Oxner said. We do have concerns about privacy, and particularly since the ADU regulations allow this to be within 4 feet of the property line. Mr. Oxner stated that he believes that this is not an encroachment on the view easement. I would ask that he provide us the name of the surveyor and the surveyor's information that leads him to have that conclusion, as we've reached an opposite conclusion. We regret Mr. Chappelle's medical conditions, and he can modify this to still provide housing for a caregiver and not have an encroach into the ADU and be more respectful of the privacy of his neighbors. That really isn't an issue of this hearing. My wife has something to add.
I just wanted to say I'm Abby Hopkins. I just wanted to say in the final bit remaining that just plain and simple, as we understand it from the land surveyor who drafted the signed and recorded view easement, that this does encroach, and that is not something that would be acceptable to us. And so we need to have this clarified by Mr. Oxner if he sees differently, because the land surveying company, Barry Waters, and the law firm Price, Postal and Parma have reached a very different conclusion.
Thank you.
Oh, she's mute. She is mute.
Susie, it looks like you are muted.
Good point. Thank you. Okay, so is there anyone else who'd like to address the staff hearing officer on this item? Seeing no one, I'll ask staff if we've received any additional public comments since the start of the hearing.
Thank you, Ms. Reardon. We have not received any additional written correspondence for this item.
Okay, great. I will close the public hearing. I went out to the site and looked at the property, and in regards to the ADU, as I stated at the intro of the public comments, the state has taken away a lot of the city's authority over ADUs in interest of providing additional housing to the residents of the state. And actually, Mr. If the staff and the applicant would like to turn on your webcams, I can see you. Great, thank you. So a lot of the issues regarding the ADU is not relevant at this time. And also in addition, the private view easement, that is a private matter. And so that's something that I won't weigh in on, given it's private, and then also given that I have no authority over the ADU. My hearing today is in regards to the requested open yard modification with the access stairway encroaching into the open yard. And the extent of the encroachment is very minor. As staff said, it's less than 100 square feet. And that the end result of the open yard area is still about 93% of what's required. And so the request is modest in scope, and it is consistent in that it provides an adequate area for open yard on the site. And in addition, this property is located across the street from Shoreline Park, which provides additional area for outdoor enjoyment. So with that, I can make the findings outlined in the staff report and approve the project. Staff did not propose any conditions of approval in the staff report, and I don't need to add any conditions of approval in order to grant the the open yard modification. So your project is is approved as submitted. My action is appealable to the Planning Commission, as I said on the earlier project, within 10 calendar days. They also have oversight authority of all my actions, and if they felt this warranted additional discussion before them, they could call it up during that same 10-day appeal period. And if either of those would happen, Ms. Plummer would contact you. Okay? And you have a project.
Thank you very much.
Sure. And with that, that was the last item on the agenda. I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.